External wall insulation systems provide new and old buildings with the requisite thermal insulation. Proper detailed planning is essential for the best results. Specially trained consultants are available to advise architects and applicators. There is a choice of 3 systems: Stowtherm Classic, Stowtherm Vario and Stowtherm Mineral. Stowtherm Classic. Expanded polystyrene SD-FRA rigid panels are used for insulation. The final layer is a rendering made from synthetic resin or silicone resin. Before starting installation, establish the base height and mark out. The insulating boards are adhered or fixed mechanically using rails and stainless steel dowels depending on the substrate. In the bonding process, the insulating boards are placed on the easel. Apply the adhesive mortar to the whole surface using the flat side of the trowel and finish off using the serrated side. Take particular care to keep the front face and edges of the board free from adhesive. Spot and edge bonding is advisable where substrates are not absolutely even. Fix the adhesive-coated insulating boards in a broken bond pattern. Press the boards flat against the wall. This is very important. All the boards must be fully pressed home. Problems can be caused by open joints or gaps between boards into which the reinforcing ground coat plaster can later be packed. Only use Stowtherm dowels on doubtful substrates after the cement has set. Mark the position of the dowel holes using a special drill. Stowtherm dowels have a polystyrene cap about 1 centimeter thick, which prevents thermal bridging and which can be rubbed down with the surface of the insulating material. Straddling dowels with steel pins may be used instead of thermodowels. Once thermodowels have been fitted, the insulating surface should be rubbed down manually or by machine to provide a perfectly even surface. This stage of the work should be completed before doweling if straddling dowels are used. Before rubbing down, seal any gaps or open joints with foam filler or strips of insulating material. Give the reinforcing ground coat a quick stir and apply in a strip approximately 1.1 to 1.2 meters wide to give full coverage. The coating should be between 2 and 4 millimeters thick. Embed the glass fiber reinforcing mesh in the reinforcing ground coat while it's still wet. Immediately level off and remove any excess material. The 1 meter wide strips of reinforcing mesh should overlap by 5 to 10 centimeters. The reinforcing mesh must be fully embedded in the reinforcing ground coat so that the pattern of the mesh is visible, but the green color is not. When a cement-free reinforcing ground coat plaster is used, there's no need for a priming coat, and the start can be made on the final stage, the top coat. Apply the finish thinly with a trowel. But there are a few important details to attend to before the final attractive result is achieved. Good detail design is a vital factor in the efficient operation and attractive appearance of the external wall insulation system. We shall examine some important points of detail more closely. If the base or solum is not insulated, then it's easiest to start with an aluminium starter rail. Before commencing with the application of the insulation panels, decide the base height and mark out. Fix the starter rail on one side and align horizontally. Then fix the rail using 3 dowel fixings per linear meter. At each end of the rail, use the last possible hole. Leave a gap of approximately 3 millimeters between adjacent rails to allow for expansion. Problems caused by water penetration and expansion at windowsills are prevented by use of a specially designed windowsill for external wall insulation systems. First, apply stow-sealed 20/2 joint sealing tape to the fixing flange. Then fix the expansion strips to the continuously welded edges. These expansion strips are designed to absorb any thermally generated forces. Fit in position and screw to the windowsill. Apply stow-sealed 20/4 joint sealing tape to the projecting edge sections. The compressed joint sealing tape should be kept as cool as possible before use to prevent premature expansion. After installation of the sill unit, the insulation boards can be cut to shape and fixed in position. Perfect joints with dissimilar substrates can be made with the specially designed jointing strip. Joint sealing profile, reinforcing mesh, and protective film are combined in one. The strip is the ideal way of dealing with both system connections and window reveals. The sandwiched film protects the window unit. The reveal insulation is fitted. And the integral glass fiber mesh is used as reinforcement. During application of the reinforcing ground coat, install a pre-formed glass fiber corner mesh to protect the external edge of the reveal. Use a corner trowel to form a neat angle. There are various ways of giving extra protection to the corners of the building. The PVC mesh angle bead is a strip of reinforcing mesh bonded to a plastic angle. These are bedded in the reinforcing ground coat prior to application of the reinforcement mesh to the main wall surfaces. The main reinforcement should overlap the edges of the PVC mesh angle bead by at least 10 centimeters. Expansion joints which exist in the building must also be designed into the insulation system. Additional expansion joints are not necessary. The expansion joint profile comprises a strip of siliconized rubber bonded on either side to plastic angle beads with reinforcing mesh strips. Fix the profiles from bottom to top. The upper profile should overlap the lower one by at least 2 centimeters. This allows for proper drainage. A strip of polystyrene may be used for temporary protection of the joint during plastering operation. This should be removed on completion. For expansion joints at internal corners of buildings, there's a special expansion joint profile with an adhesive strip at the abutting wall surface. Even insulated facades can look attractive. Stow-therm systems meet all the requirements of good design. Polystyrene rigid board can be formed to almost any shape. These embossed facades, as they are called, are easy to produce with a cement-free reinforcing compound and a special flexible reinforcing fabric. Decorative facade profiles can be manufactured using recycled glass. These deco profiles are simply adhered to the prepared substrate of a stow-therm insulation system, for example. The wide variety of shapes available in the Stow Deco Profile range opens up new horizons in creative facade design. Brick slips, the alternative to the rendered facade. Handmade slips give the natural appearance of brickwork. There's a virtually unlimited range of colors and sizes to choose from. Stow-therm Vario. The system is roughly the same as the classic system. The main difference is in the use of mineral products for the render coats. As in the classic system, there's a choice of 2 fixing methods. The insulated boards can be adhesively bonded to load-bearing substrates or mechanically fastened to non-load-bearing substrates. For the mechanical method, starter tracks, intermediate tracks, T-splines and stainless steel dowels are required. The insulating boards have a groove on all edges. The intermediate tracks are inserted into the groove. And fixed using 3 dowels per linear meter. Any unevenness in the substrate can be compensated for by using plastic packing shims. A T-spline linking individual boards promotes stability and ensures a uniform insulation surface. Additional fixings may be necessary depending on the height of the building to comply with local building regulations. After application and drying of the ground coat, plaster and reinforcing mesh, a priming coat is applied. Then comes the final coat, a mineral-based rendering. Mix the powder from the handy 25 kilogram bag with water, following the instructions on the pack. Apply the plaster using a trowel and level off to the grain thickness. Then texture the plaster. Stowtherm mineral is particularly suitable for high-rise buildings. Official test documentation shows that the system is non-combustible. Mineral wool is used as the insulation material. The insulation boards are either adhesively bonded and doweled or mechanically fixed, depending on the substrate. First of all, adhere the panels to the substrate. As the system's own weight is more than 10 kilograms per square meter, supplementary fixings are required. The dowels are secured by means of a hexagonal nut. Under standard conditions, 6 dowels per square meter are required, 1 dowel at the corner of each board and 2 dowels in the center. Depending on wind loading, this number may have to be increased to 9 dowels per square meter in the rim zone area. If the substrate will not accept a cement-based adhesive, mineral wool slabs must be fitted mechanically. Use aluminium or PVC fixing rails, T-splines, and approved stainless steel fixings. These insulating slabs have grooves on all edges which match the support profiles. In order to comply with building regulations, the mineral wool slabs must be secured with additional dowels. Standard use 1 dowel per slab. One particular variant is the laminated mineral wool slab. It differs from the standard mineral wool slab in that the fibers do not lie parallel but vertically to the wall, giving high adhesive strength. Laminated mineral wool slabs are only ever adhered, that is, dowels are not used for fixing. There are special requirements for buildings over 20 meters in height. The smaller size laminated mineral wool slabs are easier to handle, but give slightly lower thermal insulation than the normal insulating board. The vertical fibers are easy to recognize. Pre-formed angle beads made from glass fiber reinforcing mesh and supplied in a 50-meter roll are ideal for protecting corners. The angle mesh is cut to the required length, which means that it does not need to be butted and overlapped. The angle mesh is pre-bent in 3 positions to allow a variety of fixing options. The corners of openings are subject to increased stress and may crack, so it's advisable to install additional diagonal strips of reinforcing mesh prior to application of the main reinforcement. This is particularly important when mineral-based reinforcing ground coat plasters are used. Apply the reinforcing ground coat plaster over the entire surface. As with the other systems, embed the glass fiber reinforcing mesh into the plaster while it's still wet. Mesh strips must have an overlap of 5 to 10 centimeters. Level off the reinforcing plaster, particularly in the areas of overlap, so that the additional thickness is not excessive at the joints. Where a starter rail is used, the reinforcing mesh is applied over the perforated edge of the rail and cut flush with the drip edge. Finally, apply the mineral-based top coat render. All renders can be supplied in a wide choice of colors. Synthetic resin and silicone resin finishes offer the greatest choice of color. Silicate and mineral finishes the smallest. Do not use dark shades on thermal insulation. During application and curing of all materials, the outside air temperature and the temperature of the substrate should not fall below +5 centigrade. Protect the facade during bad weather. Our trained consultants have had a great deal of practical experience and will be glad to advise you. Take advantage of their assistance if you need it.